I'll tell you what I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to hear that you're sorry. Everyone's sorry after they get caught. I don't want to hear why you did it. I don't even want to know if it was your first affair. None of this shit matters to me in the slightest. What matters is that you did it. You fucked up your family. That's right, you didn't just cheat on me. You cheated on our 4 kids. They won't have a chance at a normal childhood. You cheated on both our parents. Now the kids won't have a normal grandparent-grandchild relationship. You screwed your whole family, and for what? Fuck you. Just fuck you. As far as I'm concerned, you're a lying, cheating piece of shit, but I talked to a lawyer like you suggested, and she confirmed that what you threatened me with would be the likely outcome. So my life is going to be miserable for the next 10 years. Imagine my shock when I discovered that, according to the law, you were the one who ruined us. But I will be the one punished. Rick, honey, please, I didn't threaten you. That's not what I meant. You have to believe me. I was trying to rationalize the reality of our lives. Okay, I'm a lying, cheating whore, but do our 4 children deserve to pay the price for my behavior? I realize the kids come first. But apparently, in your world, ruining my life is just collateral damage. And please don't call me cute. You don't have that right anymore. It's just Rick. And just for laughs, I'd like to hear you telling me that I should let you continue your affair even though I'm married to you so I don't have to be a part-time father paying child support and alimony for the next 10 fucking years isn't a threat? I didn't handle that very well yesterday. I'm sorry, but I'm having a hard time explaining it. This isn't meant as a reproach to you, but Troy does things to me. He makes me feel things I've never felt before. I don't love him, but right now I can't let him go. Yeah, I know. You told me he has more and blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry that what I was born with wasn't enough for you. But in my defense, we had sex before marriage, and in 15 years and 4 kids, I've never once heard you complain about my abilities in sex. Not once. This is all about you, not me. I know it's Rick, but please let me try to explain it better. This should be good. I love fairy tales. Please continue. He waved his hand ceremoniously and sank back into his chair. In the year since this all started, have I ever once denied you sex? Have you ever noticed the slightest decrease in my attention to the entire family? Have I ever canceled a lunch date with you? Is there anything you can point to that you or the kids have suffered because of my outward activity? Truth be told, he couldn't. But that only made him angrier because she just didn't understand him. Then tell me this. If you've been so good at hiding it, taking care of my needs and being a good mother to our children, why tell me about it now? At least I had the bliss of ignorance, and now you've robbed me of even that. I had to tell you, Rick, because someone close to us saw me in a compromising position and I didn't want you to find out from them. I had to tell you. How honorable of you. Who saw you with your buddy? I want to know because no one has said a word to me about it, and I'd like to know who my good friend is. I'm not going to tell you that. I can't. Why not? It's not like you're going to tell me your lover's name either, so it only gets better. I won't tell you who saw me because it doesn't matter, and all it would do is cause you unnecessary pain. I won't tell you who my friend is because I know you, and you would try to hurt him. I can't have the father of our children in jail. They need him, with all the sarcasm he was capable of. It sounds like you know what's best for me in every aspect of my life, so I guess I shouldn't get upset. Next step is for you to explain to me how good it would be for me to sit in a chair like a good cuckold and watch you two have fun. Just stop being sarcastic, Rick. It doesn't make you look good. And stop acting so childish. What the hell is a cuckold? No. You're the one being childish, Kat. You mean to tell me that you both haven't laughed at me once in the last year, or taken many other opportunities to belittle me? How many times have you slept in my bed with him, or let him drink my booze, laughing the whole time I was out of town? Rick didn't even notice the slap he received. It nearly knocked him to the ground, and in his anger he instinctively started to strike back. Somehow he managed not to, but it was very difficult. He stood, rubbing his cheek and training his jaw to make sure it still worked. He was in a state of shock, shocked that she'd hit him, and horrified that he'd almost hit her back. He knew it was time to leave. He had to put distance between them. Kat, for her part, was just as stunned by her violence against the man she loved. She opened her eyes wide and covered her mouth with her hands, unable to speak. She began to cry. Everything was falling apart. This was not how she wanted this conversation to happen at all. Recovering, she apologized and tried to hug Rick, but he pushed her away. "Rick, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I know you have no reason to believe me, but he never came anywhere near our family or home. And none of us have ever said a word about you. I don't know if you'll believe me, but I know how to compartmentalize my actions. When I'm with you, he doesn't even exist. And when—" "Right." Rick quickly interrupted. "That also means that when you're with him, me and the kids don't exist, right?" Kat lowered her head and said quietly, "Yes, Rick, but that's good. I was going to add, how could you think I would do such a thing to humiliate you? But under the circumstances, I guess there's no point in arguing. But it's true. Nothing like that ever happened." "Fuck you. Isn't this where I need to say that I'm also going to have all the kids' DNA tested?" Kat lunged at him to slap him again, but this time he saw it coming, caught her arm and said threateningly, "Don't try that again. I'm trying my best to keep my composure. And frankly, what you've been doing to me all these months doesn't give you the right to be shocked by anything I ask." "Okay, Rick, I understand, but we have to work this out somehow. My friend is outside of us." "You mean that creep?" It was a statement, not a question, and all the venom that had built up inside him was put into that statement. "He's not a scumbag, Rick. He's a good guy." "Of course he is. He's just a good guy who goes after other people's wives. By the way, while we're on the subject, do I need to get tested for STDs? I mean, how many other wives does he have? There's no telling what rotten diseases he's carrying around, right?" "Sure, you can do that if you want, but he and I have both been getting weekly tests since our friendship began. I insisted on it so you wouldn't be at risk." "That's great. I certainly don't want to hurt your feelings, but you'll have to forgive me if I do the test anyway. Thank you for letting me know you slept with him naked. You made me wear condoms after our youngest was born until I got pregnant. I know you too well, Kat. What was your plan if this asshole got you pregnant? Just another collateral damage in my life, raising someone else's child." "I seriously want to know, would I have gotten the same speech after the vasectomy? Look, Rick, you're going to raise this child as your own, or I'm going to take everything you hold dear from you. Is that what I have to expect?" "Of course not. That's never going to happen. Can't we just focus on how we're going to solve our problems as adults?" "You mean we'll deal with our problems so you can have your asshole boyfriend and I can still stay married?" "Fuck you, Kat. I'm out of here before I do anything stupid. If there's an emergency, you can contact me at my parents' address. I'll stay with them until I figure out what to do. I will think about what you said, but right now I see divorce as the only option. Please don't contact me with any more nonsense about how we need to talk about it. I have nothing more to say. You've made your position perfectly clear." Rick did live with his parents. He was an only child, which always entailed some difficulty. But he managed to stay with them for almost a full 2 weeks, and it was a surreal experience. He had laid out to his mom and dad exactly how his conversation with Kat had taken place. His dad was shocked and supportive. He didn't try to change Rick's mind one way or the other. He simply said he would stand by him no matter what he decided. His mother, on the other hand, was relentless. Even as a small child, Rick had never given much thought to who was in charge in the family. His mother was in charge, and she started attacking him as soon as he finished his story. "Oh, come on, Ricky." She never stopped calling him that. "It can't be that bad. You have 4 beautiful children who really need you. You just have to find a way to coexist with Kat. I know she loves you." "Mom, did you get that right? She's having sex with another man and she wants me to get over it." "Ricky, listen to me. Divorcing her is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. In a few months, she will get over her infatuation with another man and realize what she has at home. Don't divorce her. I know you can work things out." She continued to talk about it day and night. Often she would cry, begging him to reconsider the divorce. Sometimes she would even launch into a good old-fashioned line, "I'm very disappointed in you, Ricky. We raised you better than this." The worst thing she said, and admittedly she apologized right away, but it still hurt him terribly. Ricky, if you don't go back to Kat and work things out together, I will never forgive you. Rick knew that his parents loved their grandchildren to death, but he had also noticed that whenever his mother started talking to him, his father tended to disappear from the room. When it was just the two of them, his father would remind him that he would support whatever decision he made, but he never said anything like that when his mother was around. In the end, Rick came to the conclusion that keeping the family together was the best decision. He didn't have many options anyway. He felt like a bird trapped in a cage. He could see the big world outside, but he couldn't find a way out, so he just decided to suck it up and make the best of a bad situation. So he headed home. Look, Kat, I've decided to stay. I'm only staying so that our children don't grow up in a single-parent household, and because I know that if I leave, your lover friend will move into my house in no time. I don't want to expose our children to that. However, I'm only staying here until little Amanda turns 18, and then I'm leaving. I'm going to turn the den into my bedroom because I don't think I want to end up in the same bed with you after you blow your friend's brains out. No, no, no! She stomped her foot. You're going to sleep with me. I've been with my male friend for a year now. Have you ever seen or smelled an odor from me that would make you suspicious? No, I haven't. You're sleeping with me, and that's final. Besides, what will the kids think? Since you're going to stay with them, we have to keep up appearances. If you want to leave after the other kids are separated and Amanda turns 18, so be it. But for now, we sleep together. Kat realized that Rick loved her, and that in time their relationship would work out. She wasn't going to give him a reason to pull away. She vowed to herself that she would be more careful with her lover in the future so that Rick wouldn't see or feel anything that would make him angry or hurt. Sure, the kids were happy he was back home, but Rick was even happier. He hated being away from them. Even while on a business trip, he made sure to contact them every day. He also remembered to bring them small gifts. Seeing their euphoria, he hoped he could pull it off. Things didn't go well at first. Although Kat was no longer trying to convince him that everything was fine, she persisted in trying to get him to make love to her. But Rick couldn't do it. He tried his best to act normal, but it was hard to do, and an uneasy truce had developed between husband and wife. Rick found it very difficult not to get angry whenever Kat left the house alone. Even though she told him that she only saw her friend once or twice a week, in Rick's mind it was every time Kat left the house alone, and it hurt him deeply. Kat tried everything she could to make him more comfortable, but nothing worked, and she decided that after going through a rough few weeks since Rick's return, she should see a marriage counselor. Kat felt that Rick wasn't adapting quickly enough to his new situation, and it was important to help get their relationship back on the right track. The kids were beginning to suspect something, too. Rick was shocked when Kat suggested the idea to him. Wait, let me get this straight. You want me to go to marriage counseling with you so I can feel better about you sleeping with other guys? Seriously? He laughed so hard he started to hiccup, but suddenly Kat saw a grim expression appear on his face, and he immediately became quiet and very serious, saying, You know what, Kat? Maybe this isn't such a bad idea. We should do it. Rick had several reasons to agree. Mostly, he was curious how Kat was going to present having a boyfriend to the counselor as a way to make their marriage stronger. Either way, it would be interesting. But I have to pick the counselor. He didn't want some New Age son-child with a New Age head telling him about the merits of polyandrous relationships. Kat readily agreed, and for some unfathomable reason, excitement swept over her, and she looked forward to this moment. Rick had only to shake his head, marveling at the depth of her delusions. Kat was amazed at the success of the counseling sessions. After 2 or 3 sessions, Rick became much more affectionate at home. He didn't yell at her or pout. Frankly, the counselor was also amazed. In essence, all he did was explain to Rick that it didn't matter what the societal norms were, it only mattered what he and Kat considered normal. In his practice, he had encountered situations like this more and more often, and they had never led to a good outcome. At the end of 10 sessions, he thought he should write an article and submit it to Psychology Today. Perhaps it would help couples across the country. And that's how life went on in Rick and Kat's family. Theirs was by no means a fairy tale marriage, but they got along just fine and worked together to give their children the best childhood they were capable of. To the casual observer, It seemed that their marriage was better than most. Almost immediately after counseling ended, their loving relationship returned to normal. Rick and Kat never talked about her male friend again. Rick realized he was ignoring the obvious, but saw no good reason to bring it up. A serious incident occurred that upset Rick so much that he almost broke their agreement. About 6 years into their 10-year relationship, Rick received a call from his father asking him to come to the house alone right away. Kat saw the serious look on his face. "Rick, is something wrong? You're scaring me." "I don't know, but I think Mom might be sick. Dad said I should get over there right away." "Well, wait, I'll come with you." "No. He said for me to go alone." Kat looked worried, for she loved his parents almost as much as she loved her own. "Okay, but please let me know what's going on as soon as possible." He promised he would let her know and set off for his childhood home. When he arrived, both parents were sitting in the front room. His father looked angry and his mother was clearly crying. This only made him more anxious. Dad spoke first. "Rick, I want you to know that I only found out about this yesterday and I'm very angry with your mother." And he left the room. "What's going on, Mom?" "Ricky, I have to tell you something and it's going to hurt you. I never wanted this. I just wanted to keep your family together. You know I love my grandchildren so much." "Just tell me, Mom." "I was the one who saw Kat and her boyfriend all those years ago. I saw them leaving the hotel room one day when I was meeting Doris for lunch." "What? And you never told me. How could you do that to me?" "Honey, the kids were just babies. They needed both parents." She continued to speak, but he couldn't hear the continuation of her words. He was stunned. His own mother. Rick got up and left without another word. When he got home, Kat nervously peppered him with questions, but all he said was that his parents were worried about whether we had enough money to pay for college for all the kids. I told them we were still working on it, but trying. They said they would help in any way they could. They're just getting old and worried. I guess that's what old people do. Well, thank goodness. I hope you told them not to worry anymore. Rick just nodded his head and went to the backyard. Rick's relationship with his mother was never the same. They still saw each other, usually with the grandchildren and Kat. But the close relationship she had with her only child was gone forever. The same thing had happened with his parents' marriage. His father actually left the house for about a month. So upset was he by his wife's cheating. Unfortunately, his father passed away about a year after that encounter. He died a sad man, and it bothered Rick a lot. He had a few somber days after the funeral. To Kat's credit, she was there for him every step of the way and helped him out of his depression. Rick's resolve to leave his wife began to wane. He was still fighting it, but he realized that his wife loved him and was trying, so he began to have doubts. Before anyone knew it, their oldest child was off to college, followed by the next two. Amanda didn't turn 18 until a few years later, but she had already graduated high school and was about to go to a state college. Everything they had been told was true. The years of parenting, especially middle school, passed like a blur. Around the same time, his mom passed away as well. As an only child, all he had to do was make arrangements for their inheritance. Dying is a very difficult and time-consuming process. There is a saying that as an only child, the good news is that you won't have to argue with your siblings about anything after your parents die. The bad news is that you have no siblings to share the burden with. Ironically, it turned out that his parents had left him enough money to allow all of his children to pursue higher education without taking on the burden of student loan debt. While going through some important papers, Rick saw a letter from his mother addressed to him. The envelope read, "For Rick, after I'm gone." The letter was dated just 3 weeks before her death. Gotta have Mom put a date on it. He slipped the envelope into his shirt pocket and decided to read it later. Shortly after his mother's death, Rick had essentially decided to stay with Kat. The resentment and anger were gone, and he felt his life was better than most, so why rock the boat? Plus, he had seen how lonely his mother was, and it worried him that the same could happen to him if he left Kat. Amanda was the only child in the house, and he was already starting to suffer from empty nest syndrome. Rick tossed the letter in his desk and forgot about it for a few weeks. One day, while digging through his desk drawer, he saw it and decided to read it. What he read shocked him, but he had a hard time believing it all the way through. That's the trouble when you start lying. Trust is lost, and you wonder about motives. Was the content of the letter true, or was his mother just trying to make herself look better after her death? He decided to destroy the letter and not say a word. It was less than a year until Amanda would turn 18 and head off to college. But he thought of her often, and it affected his decision-making about his future. The day after Amanda left for school, Rick met with Kat. "Kat, I met with a lawyer and I'm going to divorce you. You can go to her office to sign the papers or I can bring them to you. I don't want to embarrass you, but it's time for me to move on." "But why? We've been so good all these years." "Because I don't love you, Kat, and we agreed that I would stay until Amanda turned 18. You don't love me?" "No, Kat, and my love didn't gradually fade away. It stopped the moment you threatened me. I'm obliged to leave as we agreed 10 years ago. I know our paths will still cross because of children and grandchildren, so I'll be polite. But it's over between us." "Come on, Rick, you mean all those times we held hands? The countless times you told me how much you loved me and the lovemaking wasn't real? I know the difference between sex and love, and you made love to me. It took a little while, but after a few months your revenge sex turned from revenge sex to sex and then to lovemaking. I know that's what happened." "I lied to you, Kat. It was an act. And do you know why?" Kat was openly crying now. She said nothing, only shook her head negatively. "Because I realized something in a fairly short period of time, and it came down on me like a brick hitting me. You can divorce me at any time, for any reason. Why do you think I agreed to counseling? We live in a no-fault state. You could file for divorce just because I forgot to take out the trash or forgot your birthday. What if over time you fell in love with your boyfriend? Either way, the result would be the same. I'd be a part-time dad. You had all the power in our relationship. I couldn't risk it, so I tried to be the best father I was capable of and pretended with you." "I don't believe you. I know you love me. I know you love me. I would never do anything like that to you." She was screaming hysterically and sobbing uncontrollably. Maybe now she was finally realizing the depth of what she had done. "Wait, please, Rick. There's something I have to tell you. I haven't seen my boyfriend or been with anyone but you in almost 10 years. "Yeah, like I believe that. That's pretty desperate even for you, Kat." Rick really felt that Kat was willing to say or do anything to get what she wanted. "I swear it's true, Rick. I've been a completely faithful wife to you since a few months after we talked." "Why? And what happened? You never said anything to me." "I figured you wouldn't believe me anyway, so I didn't say anything. As soon as I told him that you now understood our relationship, he started to change. When we were together, he started belittling you, calling you a weak cuckold. He started telling me I should cut you off and said all sorts of perverted things when we were together. Eventually, one day I got tired of it and I slapped him and left. I never came back, and I've never been with anyone else but you." "How many times did you slap him?" "Just once, and why?" "For no particular reason. At least he and I are equals in that." "So all these years you've just kept it to yourself?" "Yes, Rick. I thought the only thing I could do was to be the best mother and wife I could be, and I thought we were okay." "Well, I'll admit it. You've been an amazing mother. I don't see how anyone could do it better, and I know you're going to be a wonderful grandmother as well, but I have to tell you that the pain has stayed and is not going away. I also want to commend you for trying to be a good wife. I know that the closeness that was between us before your affair never returned, but I know that you tried and that you care about me. And yet it never became anything more than just two friends with benefits to me. Please, Rick, you have to stay. Please don't leave me. I'll do anything you say not to lose you. Please, I'm begging you." "Okay. Kat, then answer me one question. A few years ago, I found out that my mother was the one who saw you with your lover." Kat pretended to be shocked by this revelation. "Did you ever talk to her about it?" After a pregnant pause, she replied, "No, honey. I had no idea your mother had seen me." "That's odd, Kat. She told me that you met with her that same day and threatened that if she told me about it, she would be blamed for the breakup of our family and that you would make sure she never saw her grandchildren again. I didn't do any of that. I don't know, Kat. That sounds a lot like what you told me 10 years ago. The problem with what you're telling me is that I don't believe you. I'm sorry, but there's nothing you can say to make me stay. Anyway, it's time for me to do something for myself. I've spent all this time here for the kids, and now it's my time. Goodbye, Kat. Kat fainted and sobbed uncontrollably, but Rick was unfazed. He left the house for the last time. That same day, he began receiving angry and emotional calls from each of the children, asking why he had left their mother. Before answering, he asked each one a simple question. Was I a good father? They uniformly assured him that throughout their lives he had been a wonderful father. He was moved to tears by their recognition of his accomplishments. When he got his emotions under control, he told them the whole truth, including their grandmother's role in the affair. He didn't procrastinate and he didn't sugarcoat anything. He explained that he almost left anyway because the anger and shame overwhelmed him. They understood, thanking him for staying with them. Although they maintained a relationship with his mom, they were never the same again. Rick never spoke to Kat again. He even refused to be in the same room with her except for their children's weddings and grandchildren's birthdays. Rick loved his loneliness and realized that there was a big difference between being alone and being a lonely person. He was never lonely because he had the important part of having the love and respect of a family.